name is Mary Cruz, and I'm very honored to be here today. And and I want to thank Claudia and Mission Ruah for inviting me to share my testimony, especially during this time of Lent. So much has happened in our lives and through the fasting, and I really wanted to just motivate everybody to continue to trust in the Lord. And I've been with Mission Ruah for quite a bit now, a few years, I may say. And as I was saying, I've had my ups and downs and family issues and health issues and whatnot. So, about 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a condition of the heart. And immediately the doctor asked me to stop fasting. I was fasting very often. I would say two or three times a year. And my 40-day fasting was something that I was doing at a personal level, but very much in tune with my priest, my prayer group, friends. We were able at one point to have 178 people here in Toronto fasting and with the direction of our priest. And it became something that I desired to do very much. So when I became sick, the doctor was the first thing that he asked me not to do was fasting. So I tried to sneak by and I became worse. My heart condition was worse. And my husband and my girls asked me to stop. To say the least, it was the hardest thing, I think, after you try fasting and you know how close you get to the Lord and how you really discover that Jesus is fasting in you. When the doctor told me that I couldn't, I literally cried. And it was very sad for me. So I obeyed, and 2 years went by without fasting. And I did other stuff, but nothing really filled that place. Throughout all of that, I think the Lord taught me that I wasn't fasting. It wasn't my attitude. It wasn't my willpower. It wasn't the strength I had. It was Jesus literally fasting in me. I went through a process of asking the Lord to forgive me if I became proud during this time where I was able to fast and 40 days and now I can do it. And I learned humility through everything that you do because there's not one thing that we do that comes from our strength, from our power, from our will. Everything is done in the divine will. Even when we were fasting, I would think I was making very sure that I knew it was the Lord. But sometimes ego can sneak in, pride can sneak in. So I repented from that and I waited for the time to fast again. I did 9 days and it was like my heart was racing. And that was as far as I got 9 days. This year, January 5th, as we began this new year, I was just doing my things and I had finished my daily prayer and I heard that voice again that I missed for 2 years. It was the voice of Jesus just saying, "My daughter, I invite you to fast." And I tell you, I stopped and I looked around to see who was talking to me because it was a very, very clear, audible voice. So immediately I looked at the calendar and I said, wow, but I'm going away to my country. I'm from South America, Peru. And I looked, and when I counted, my 40th day was the day before I would leave to South America. So I said, okay, this is the Lord. So I spoke to my husband, I spoke to the girls because they were always on top of my health. And I said, I really felt Jesus calling me. So they made me promise that if I felt one little bit of sickness, dizziness, my heart racing, I would stop. So that was my commitment to them. So I immediately started right away. I started right away because it was just that strong. So I went, I said, okay, we'll do 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, the normal things, just a little headache here and there. And then I just started feeling Jesus going in. And what I did was I did it as if it was the first time I had fasted. By this time, I had already fasted about 8 times. And maybe pride got in, like I said, the thought of, hey, I got this, I can do it. But every day I would open my eyes and I would just say, Jesus, I depend on you. I depend on you to fast. I depend on you to be my bread, my water. And listening to the prayers every day, doing the healing prayer, the prayer of the cross, the prayer of day 1, day 2, day 39, day 40. And it's like, you know, Jesus was there through the midst of all of this. Little did we know that my daughter had announced her pregnancy, and the week after the fasting, everything in the pregnancy started getting complicated to the point that the doctors would say that the baby was not going to make it, that my daughter was in jeopardy, that there was a defect with the baby, there was this with the baby, there was something wrong with the baby. And it was the 40 days. Every day there was something. My daughter was almost going to be admitted. The baby was, she just turned 30 weeks. And the doctor said that, the baby was going to be not surviving after 20. Here's week 30. We claimed the power of Jesus. We claimed this baby in the divine will. I finished my fasting, my 40th day confession prayer, listening to the Lord, what He wanted, this new thing, what He wanted to do in my life and my daughter. It was so beautiful. Throughout that, we offered 9 days of novena and fasting with my family for the baby. And the baby just turned 31 weeks. This week is her week 31. It's a girl. And I know that Luisa is interceding. I called upon the divine will. I called upon our Blessed Mother. The fasting period was a fasting of becoming revived again, knowing, comprehending, being convicted that it's only through the power of Jesus that we can do everything. There is nothing, not even if I wanted to think of something good, that it could be done. It depends on the power of God's love and mercy. And I think for me was like a second conversion kind of thing. Again, I keep having second conversions throughout my whole journey because we know how, the second conversion is always very powerful. But I think that what the Lord taught me this time around with this new fasting in 2026 was not only to know that we surrender, not only to know that we need to surrender, but really live what the word surrender means. So when we surrender the baby to the Lord throughout this fasting, they were doing so many different tests that I've never seen in my life being done to a fetus. And when the doctor said this was something wrong with the baby, the test showed that the baby was 100% fine, that the baby was good, that the baby was alive, that the baby had the perfect cells around her brain that, they were saying that they didn't, even to the point that they said, we're going to give you now your options as to what is next. And we just rebuked all of that. We closed the door and I said, Lord, you invited me to fast to bring this blessing to my family. We surrender. So, now that my daughter has entered into her week 31, we know that she's a very high risk pregnancy, but every step of the way through the fasting, even the Lord gave us Psalm 139. I am being knitted in my mother's womb. I am wonderfully, beautifully made. And we keep proclaiming that. And my fast finished at day 40, and I never had to go to the doctors. I never had to take the rescue pump again. And I know that the Lord healed me, and I cannot wait to listen to His voice again because it is a grace. Fasting is a grace. Jesus calls you to fast, even though if you have the desire, you must say, Jesus, fast in me. Jesus, dwell in me. And I tell you, the journey that you will be walking through with Him, it'll be a life experience, a changing experience that you will never be the same. So, having fasted now 9 times, I tell you, make your fasting always as the first one. We're not here accumulating points. Oh, 8, 9, 20. No, every time the Lord calls you, it's a grace, and it's as if it was the first time, because He will take you to the desert, He will take you to the mountain to make you fall in love with Him again. So be hungry for God, be always thirsty for God, live in God's divine will. And I just ask you that in your 40 days, please say a Hail Mary for my daughter, because I promise once this baby is born, I will bring her here to witness the power of God through this whole time of prayer and fasting, because that will be His reward for each one of us, my little granddaughter. So thank you so much. God bless you, and continue fasting.